Today, we're going to be saving parsley seed. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. I am so excited about today's episode because, like I said, we're going to be saving parsley seed. Now, parsley seed is something that I've really wanted to save seeds from for a very long time, and a lot of you have asked how to save seeds from it as well. It just takes a few extra care tips to get seed out of it, and it takes a little bit of time to get seed out of it. And so it's never really been an opportunity for me to do a video on until now, so I'm really excited about it. Now, this will be a continuation into our ongoing series here on the channel on how to save seeds. We have a whole playlist on how to save seeds, so I'd recommend checking that out. It's definitely going to be a really good video into that series because saving seeds is something that I not only strongly encourage you all to do, but I advocate more, I think, than anything else. Whether you grow organically or inorganically, one thing that you should be doing is saving seeds, because not only does it give you more self-sustainability and more self-reliance when it comes to having a secure seed source, but it also preserves biodiversity. Preserving biodiversity more than ever is something that I really encourage, and I want you all to practice. So parsley is no exception to that rule. All right, so the first thing you need to do to get your parsley to flower is you need time. Parsley is a biennial, and a biennial is a plant that grows and flowers the second year. Things like celery, carrots, onions, those are all biennials. They flower the second year after the plant goes dormant and survives winter. And so these plants here are 2 years old. They grew, they grew last year, they regrew, and then they flowered the second year. That's really important to do because if you just let the plants grow, they're not going to flower. Now, if you're in a place that does not get winter-like conditions, it still is going to take about the same amount of time. It just grows, just continually grows, and it might be like 30 to 40 days less time, but it's still going to be the equivalent of about 2 seasons worth of time. And that's because the plant just has to go through those natural life cycles to get ready to flower. Now, once the plant does flower, the plant does have to be pulled up. That's because the flavor actually gets really bitter in the leaves. It will still survive, and we've grown parsley for many, many, many years without it dying back. But when we taste the parsley, it just doesn't have the same kind of citrusy, lemony. It doesn't have that parsley flavor, I guess. It doesn't. Parsley it's like lemony and peppery is what I would classify parsley as. But it doesn't really have that in the plant after it flowers. And that's not uncommon to other herbs. So even though the plant is beautiful and it's healthy and it will continue to grow year after year, you want to pull it up after it flowers. So you need time. That's the first thing you need. Second thing you need also with time is patience. Now, time is important because it takes time for the plant to grow and to flower. It also takes patience because when the flower blooms, it takes a long time for the seed to actually become dry and ready to harvest. As you'll see here, there's an immature flower head right here that never really quite got around to producing seed. It never stayed warm enough long enough to flower. These plants started flowering in about early August, middle part of September or so, and they still did not actually flower and get pollinated to produce viable seed. So that's just one thing to consider, is they take a long time to produce viable seed. So it takes patience, because right now this looks like a seed head. If you take this indoors, there's no seed actually in this. And that's because the flowers actually come on what's called a flower plate. And a flower plate it's basically like a carrot flower as well, or like a dill flower. They flower, and that flower is a very flat plate-like flower, producing, there's many flowers all conjoined into one flower head. And that kind of flower head needs to be pollinated, and each flower produces a single seed. It's very, very unique in how it produces seed. And so another plant like this would be like fennel is another one, or dill, like I said, carrot is another one. So plants in that family produce kind of a similar flower type. And so when that flower is pollinated, it takes a long time for the seed to dry. In fact, the seed just got dry enough about 2 weeks ago for me to start taking seed from. Now, if you let them go too long, the seeds will drop off the plant. So what you want to look for is the flower stalk turning a kind of a light yellow to almost like a dry brown. and that tells you that the seed is ready to be harvested. As you can see here, this flower stalk is still very green, it's very much alive, and there's no way that that seed is going to be ready. Even if the flowers have been pollinated, there still would be far too much water in that seed stalk, and that's going to lead to too much water in your seeds, which leads to either immature seeds or mold and rot. So what you want to look for is the flower stalk turning yellow. That's the patience part. And then the final thing is just harvesting. It's very, very simple. In fact, I think parsley is probably one of the easiest, if not the easiest plant to harvest seed from, because it's, like I said, it's in the same family as plants like dill or carrots, where you can tell that the seed is ready to be harvested because the seed is outside the plant. There's no fruit to kind of guess if the fruit is ripe or not. You don't have to do any processing to the seed whatsoever. It's just ready when it's ready, and you can see when it's ready when it's dry. So I absolutely love that. It's a total gift to the gardener when it comes to seed saving. So check it out. I'm gonna pull you guys in close. You guys can check it out, see what to look for, those visible cues, and then we'll get that saved because I'd love to have some fresh parsley from seed. All right, so as you can see here, here's the really young, still green flower head, and you can see what those flowers look like. The flowers will all open up, and each one of these little clusters comes on. There's a main flower stem, and it produces another little flower stem, a secondary flower stem, which then opens up into many other flowers, and those tiny little flowers all produce seeds. And you can see that more through this one right here. So this is the main stem, nice and dry, as you can see by the color. You want to look for that color. It's nice and brown, it's clearly brittle, and there's not a whole lot of moisture in it. That main stem comes up, there's the secondary flower stalk, and each one of those flowers produces as an individual seed. Very, very cool. And that means that each flower head can produce hundreds of actual seeds. This is fantastic and something that is really going to be beneficial to you. So all we're going to do is we're simply going to come in here and pull that off, and we now have tons of seed. We can take this inside, and we can actually take them without making too much of a mess here with the seed. Hold them over a plate or your hand and simply give them a squeeze. And as you can see, all those seeds, all those viable seeds are falling right into my hand, and we can put them on a paper plate. And you still want to let these dry for about a week to 2 weeks, just because they've been outside. There's still moisture outside, there's still humidity, and they still might contain some moisture, and you don't want them to mold. So always a good practice to label the plate and just let it sit out for another week or two. But once that is done, these can go inside of a bag, and they are perfect, absolutely perfect to use. Really great. That's a ton of seed, and that's just from one. That's from one flower stalk, you guys. One flower stalk. That's more parsley than you're ever going to need. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. I really do hope that you'll check out all of our other seed saving videos. We've been doing these videos now for several years, but they are loved by many, and they're a great resource that is going to help you to save more seed from your garden. And not only save seed from your garden, but also save money on your garden, because when you save your own seed, that's free seed that you don't have to buy. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. And as always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow big or go home. And we'll catch you all later. See ya. Bye.